What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? This is Nicholas Falato of the Big Blue Banter podcast here to break down Jason Garrett's opening drive, his opening script against the Washington football team. Look, Jason Garrett has been under a lot of heat recently, rightfully so, for his lack of creativity, but he really came out in this game on the road on a short week and put this ostensible quality Washington defense on their heels. Now, they weren't that great against the Chargers, they weren't that great against the Giants, but we'll see how the defense gels through the rest of the season. But this opening drive was really creative from Jason Garrett. He varied tempo, he had moved the pocket rollout, he had that RPO built off of the counter play that the Giants loved to run in 2020 and didn't really run against Denver, but came out in this game and ran it several different times, took advantage of Daniel Jones' athletic ability with the zone read and the quarterback draw on the touchdown. So I felt like Garrett did a good job just devising, calling the plays in a timely manner, and putting his players in a position to succeed. So let's break that down right now. This first play is just a simple inside zone type of look. Very nice stick by Cameron Curl right there. Giants come out here, 12 personnel, double Y over here to the boundary, have a stack down here, and you can see runs a fake little bubble right there. Saquon Barkley picks up 5 yards. Nothing too spectacular. Look at the Washington front here. You have 4-eye technique. You have a 4 technique right here. And you have the nose. So we're in a tight kind of front. More difficult to run on. Eagle type of front. But not as much for the personnel on the back end. You got the linebackers in there. All right, now we go to play 2. Washington's going to be in a quarters type of look. We're going to have a deep curl here and then a slot fade. It's something that Jason Garrett loves to call. And then we're going to have another curl here. Color me surprised. But what I do like is the route concept from Kyle Rudolph and Saquon Barkley. So let's watch that. Now that's an excellent understanding of spacing right there from Kyle Rudolph to get around John Bostic as he flows laterally. You can see how he uncovers, and Daniel Jones throws a good ball. He throws with anticipation here because when he throws, Kyle Rudolph is just entering that turn. His hips are not oriented into the turn quite yet. So that's a good throw right there when it comes to anticipation. And it's also just at around 10 yards, which is typically the area to where the quarters safety is going to bite down underneath on it. But he gets right in between the linebacker and safety, makes the catch. And I also like this play because the Saquon Barkley route is kind of works right off of the route of Kyle Rudolph. You can tell how Saquon Barkley releases like he's going up the field and kind of replaces the path of Kyle Rudolph. And now both of these linebackers are going to be tasked to cover either or. Saquon Barkley has all this room inside, so John Bostic has to be aware of that because Cole Holcomb has no ability to cover that route. Both of these routes are going inside, and look at the middle of the field. It's wide open. So this safety has to come downhill on this. Saquon Barkley was going to be open here more than likely, and John Bostic's put into a spot where he has to worry about 2 defenders. So this is a nice little play design from Jason Garrett. Makes the catch. Let's check it out from the end zone angle. Daniel Jones, the ball probably could have been a little bit better, but you can see Daniel Jones rearing back to throw this football right before Kyle Rudolph clears. So it's not a deep throw. It's not an overly difficult throw, but it is a throw with anticipation, which is something you're looking for in your quarterback. Good catch by Kyle Rudolph, too. Need those tough kind of catches over the middle. Giants come out in a stack right here. So you have both wide receivers here, and you see you have both the covering defenders that could be in a banjo switch type of coverage down there. That doesn't really come into play on this specific play. We have Kenny Golladay up here, and this is going to be an RPO built off of the counter play that Jason Garrett ran so heavily in 2020 with Wayne Gallman. And there's always a little kind of telltale sign when you're watching on the broadcast angle, specifically on the All-22, because it's a little bit more noticeable when the Giants are going to run counter, because that backside guard, who is Nick Gates, he's just a little bit more off the line of scrimmage than he typically would be. It's a little bit of a cheat, and it comes up sometimes. And that happens all over the NFL. Whenever there's a certain play, if you look at the offensive lineman splits, sometimes there is a slight sign as to what could be coming. But this is going to be an RPO, a run-pass option, where Daniel Jones is going to stick the ball into Saquon Barkley's belly, and he's going to read this defender. So if this defender bites up, opening up an alley for Kenny Galladay's skinny little post, then he's going to throw the football. But if this defender stays right in this spot and doesn't bite up on the run, he's going to hand the football off to Saquon Barkley and pick up a good chunk of yardage. Excellent way to put the defense on their heels. You can see how that happened. Defender bites up on the run, opening up all this space for that little skinny post to Kenny Galladay. Daniel Jones does a great job reading it, puts the football out there into Saquon Barkley's belly as he reads that player. This is the player right here in conflict. This is the player that is going to be read. And this is the counter play that we talk about. Saquon Barkley opens up to delay time, allows the backside guard to come out there, kick out that M-man on the line of scrimmage, while Caden Smith comes up, takes the next dangerous man. See it from the end zone angle. You can kind of really see Daniel Jones' eyes on this one. See? Looking right at Landon Collins, number 26. Realizes that he's coming up, takes the ball away, fires the football. I also love how Daniel Jones is able to quickly make this decision, but quickly get his mechanics in line, get his shoulders square, put the ball on there. Good play design, good play. Myself and Dan have been talking about how we want Jason Garrett to call more RPOs, call more zone reads, and we saw that on this specific drive. So that's excellent. And I also love how they're using up-tempo, which you can also see here. Here the Giants using up-tempo, and we have the bunch right here reduced all inside the numbers to the boundary. And we have the backside receiver right here, about splitting the difference between the hash and the numbers, a little bit closer to the hash. And I love this too, just play action rollout. Move the pocket, goes like he's handing the ball off to Saquon Barkley. Get Saquon Barkley out into the flat. Kenny Galladay. This would be a high-low, but there's a lot of defenders in the area. And then Darius Slayton in the middle of the field with Cameron Curl right over the top of him. There's nothing here for Daniel Jones to really throw. There's a lot of bodies. The Washington football team played this really well. So I just love the fact that Daniel Jones tucks the ball down and just picks up a couple of yards. You get a couple. Don't try to force the football. Don't make a mistake. He didn't. And I think that's a positive for Daniel Jones because he's proven to us that he has tried to force the football in the past situations that are similar to this. The fact that he didn't there is definitely a positive. Now that may have been a positive, but this isn't as much. This is a mistake by Daniel Jones. It's just going to be a play action. You could tell by the pass blocking. There's no run element here, so it's not an RPO. They're all just pass blocking. And you're going to have a post dig kind of route by Kenny Galladay, and then a deep over from the slot with a tight end releasing. So you have a 8-man protection initially, and then a 7-man because one of the tight ends releases. Saquon Barkley kind of releases as well, which I actually want to talk about because you'll see it from the end zone angle what actually ends up happening on this play. But Troy Aikman brought this up on the broadcast, and he's 100% accurate. I mean, you have to get rid of the football here, Daniel Jones. I mean, you hit your back foot, you're looking that direction, and you have a lot of space here. And yes, you have this defender bailing, but that is a lot of space. You need to be able, as an NFL quarterback, to fit the football into this window because this is a wide window. This is a big window. You have this safety right here scrambling. 29 is playing over the top of Galladay. Cole Holcomb isn't in a position to really make a play on this football. And there's a lot of time there. I mean, look at that time from Kenny Galladay's when he plants that outside foot in the ground. Daniel Jones, he has his eyes on it. For whatever reason, he doesn't pull the trigger. And I'm not 100% certain why, because he has all the time in the world, and Kenny Galladay has all the space in the world to put that football there. And then he ends up getting sacked. Not an ideal situation, and not a great play from Daniel Jones. But look how the sack happens. Now, he had all the time in the world to get rid of this football. But watch Saquon Barkley here. Goes into the play action. Saquon Barkley picks Nick Gates. He picks him, and then Nick Gates ends up blocking Saquon Barkley. This is the second week in a row where Giants protection end up blocking each other. It's just Saquon Barkley, I just think, needs to have better spatial awareness in this situation to not kind of run between Nick Gates and Jonathan Allen to allow Jonathan Allen to get this sack. Simple mistake. It happens, but something that's noticeable on film, especially coming from a back who's not necessarily all that great in pass protection. And Saquon Barkley had one really nice pass pickup or blitz pickup in this game that I didn't want to tip my cap to because I felt like it was an important play. It happened a little bit later in the game. We have a too high look pre-snap here. Let's watch what happens. Got two receivers down here, a little bit more tight, a little bit more reduced to the boundary, a little bit more space between the field side receivers. You got a zone match type of look over here, and it ends up being the route distribution as a smash type of concept just because you have a deep 7 from Darius Slayton and then a flat route from Kyle Rudolph. Then down here, if Kenny Golladay releasing outside and he struggles to get outside of Benjamin St-Juste, who's keeping his eyes on the number 2 because the number 2 could be running an out route that I think Benjamin St-Juste would like to jump, but he's all over Kenny Golladay, so that's irrelevant. But this just goes to show you this type of play right here by Sterling Shepard, how good of a receiver or player like Sterling Shepard is. It's these little nuances to playing the wide receiver position. He's getting walled off here. This cornerback Kyle Fuller is not going to allow, or Kendall Fuller I should say, is not going to allow him to get inside there. So what he has to do is he has to find space and manufacture space to the outside. So he gets to the top like he's going to bend around, but if he were to bend his route to the middle of the field, this defender would cover it easily. So he just sinks his hips and then gets to the outside portion of the defender, flows laterally where there's nobody but space, and makes the catch. It's simple, but it's an understanding of space, it's an understanding of how to uncover, and it's an understanding of when and where to be. And Sterling Shepard does that better than probably anybody on this Giants roster, I would say. Kenny Golladay, I mean, he's a great receiver, but Sterling Shepard really understands the nuances of playing the wide receiver position, and he displays it every week when he's healthy. So you can see it again. It dropped to the too high. The match element here, and he's removing the underneath portion of this 7 route, not allowing this 7 route to materialize at all. So this side of the field is just eliminated. So there's really not much here at this point. Sterling Shepard allows there to be something because Kenny Golladay wasn't getting off his route either. Kyle Rudolph, he's covered. And then the man down here, John Bostic, has Saquon Barkley very, very easily. So kudos to Sterling Shepard. Thanks, catch. Let's check out the end zone angle real quick. Look at that A gap, just wide open. But then after the path, they condense in. Protection holds up. Montez Sweat gets a good shot on Andrew Thomas here. Gets underneath him with the long arm. Andrew Thomas struggles to kind of get his chest, gets backed up, but he holds up just enough to allow Daniel Jones to get the football off. This play is a good time to call a screen, as you'll see. Washington ends up bringing 5 here. They buzz the safety down. Looks like cover 3. Bring a 5-man pressure package. And then this little fake action to Saquon Barkley gets a lot of defenders moving in that direction. These defenders are held unblocked because they're worried about Daniel Jones dumping this ball off. And you have 2 linemen going out acting at screens, 3 if you include the tight end here. And they throw it to Sterling Shepard on the backside of the play. So good deception right here. Keep the defense honest. It's called at the right time. But Billy Price is just a bit late getting out here to take care of Cole Holcomb. You can see how he slows down there trying to square up and frame this block well. And in doing so, Holcomb does a really good job kind of continuing his path upfield towards Sterling Shepard. Just forces Sterling Shepard to alter his route a little bit, his path I should say. Then Kyle Rudolph can't finish off number 23 down here. 23 makes a solid tackle on the play. But you can see from the end zone angle the reaction of Bostic, 29 of Sweat, this defender over here, especially when you have Nate Solder kicking into space. It's really selling screen. But you look over here, you have Andrew Thomas, cut block. You have man on the line of scrimmage. Billy Price, you just got to get there just a bit slow. He couldn't. And the blocking wasn't great either by Kyle Rudolph. Now you got to love to see this, the zone read game. Giants have this 3-by-1 set with an H-back being the tight end right here. 11 personnel. Saquon offset just a little bit, setting up that perfect zone read on this end man on the line of scrimmage. Got a man off look going on. And you can see these safeties, man, they were really aggressive filling the B gap. every time they went to go put the football into Saquon Barkley's belly. As you see there, he's down there. He's ready to hit. Everybody is focused on Saquon Barkley. Everyone's eyes is on Saquon Barkley. If you look right here, Kenny Golladay, I love how he comes down here, gets to the side of Cole Holcomb, eliminates that outside linebacker. And now you have Caden Smith, who was the H-back originally, lead blocking for Daniel Jones. It's a play design that we saw Jason Garrett use last year as well. So it's not novel to the Giants, but you love to see it. Daniel Jones reads it perfectly. You'll see that from the end zone angle. Here we go. And read. Caden Smith's already coming around. You see this defender, his eyes are oriented into the path where Saquon Barkley would be. He's crashing, and he's not keeping contained. And if you don't keep contained as a defender, if you don't execute your assignments as a defender, you're going to have plays like this. Daniel Jones is very athletic. He can make a lot of players and defenders pay for that. It's a good play right there. Here we get a jet motion, just inside zone run. Saquon Barkley just didn't go anywhere. Looks like it had an RPO element to it at the top of the screen if you look. I'm trying to see if Daniel Jones read something, but watch Kenny Golladay. He runs a little glance route. Looks like Daniel Jones is looking at this defender right here. Decides to hand the football off, but there was nothing there for Saquon Barkley. See it right here. He looks like he was predetermined to hand the football off anyways. He looks at the last second. Price gets kind of tossed by 97 here. Does a solid job recollecting himself to get into the defender's way, but by that point the upfield pressure was already created and no one was able to kind of climb and locate Curl, who again flies into that B gap. Well, I guess this would be the A gaps. The B gap's over there. And Barkley is forced to bounce everything and just doesn't get any yardage, any positive yardage on that play. Here we have the Giants in a 3-by-1 set with Saquon Barkley to the backside, the one receiver side, and Washington is going to run cover 3 Mabel, which is a coverage where it's and Washington is going to use a cover 3 Mabel, which is a coverage that is focused on playing man coverage to the one receiver side of 3-by-1 sets and a cover 3 type of look to the 3 receiver side. It's a pretty common coverage that Washington used against the New York Giants in this game, along with cover 6, which is another one that they use a lot. And you'll see it. Here's the man element. You can see how the safety flies down to take Saquon Barkley into the flat. This defender's focused on Kyle Rudolph the entire time. Then you got zone down here. 25 drops to a deep third. 31 handles the middle of the field. And we have 2 zone players. So that's cover 3 Mabel. Giants run it as well. I mean, a lot of teams run it. And from a route standpoint, you have 2 out-breaking routes here. Kind of a deep out from Kyle Rudolph. Flat route from Saquon Barkley. I like this isn't a stack, but I like the split between Kenny Golladay and Sterling Shepard here, because you have Golladay kind of running that deep over, and I like bringing a drag underneath that deep over, because a deep over like this is going to cause attention to be drawn towards Kenny Golladay, and that usually allows a shifty player like Sterling Shepard to kind of slip underneath, as he does here, but the throw is just not on target because pressure was right in his face. And then outside, Darius Slayton just kind of runs a post route, but it was slow developing. And you can see how the pressure kind of gets to Daniel Jones on this play. And this was the roughing the passer penalty by Chase Young, which, I mean, was kind of soft, but I mean, that's NFL is going to protect their quarterbacks, and you know, Daniel Jones deserves that as much as any other quarterback. You can see Andrew Thomas, he oversets here, but he's definitely under the impression that Nick Gates is going to be there to help. Nick Gates doesn't have anybody covering him. You have the one tech. Billy Price can handle that. So as Nick Gates looks, and he sees John Bostic is not coming, Cole Holcomb is not coming, you can see how Gates was really focused on Bostic for a little bit there. Eyes, 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 eyes. And then he started paying attention to Chase Young. By that point, Andrew Thomas overset, and Gates was a bit too slow to get to him, which forced the accelerated process from Daniel Jones. But after the penalty, Giants get the football. Got zone read again. You can see it's the same action. You're bringing that H-back around to kick out this guy or to block this individual if Daniel Jones takes it. But Daniel Jones sees that he is not biting down. He is not trying to use backside pursuit to tackle Saquon Barkley from behind. Instead, he's staying in his gap, executing his assignment. So Daniel Jones hands the football off on the zone read, gets a couple of yards. See it right here. But he blocks down. It's just not a lot of running room here. Just a lot of bodies at this point of the game. It's going to happen. But I really like this from Jason Garrett and from the Giants offense. This part of the field, Giants come out and they're like, okay, we're going to spread you out. We're going to go 3 by 2 and look at the middle of the defense. Said it earlier. Said those A-gaps are really giving up in those passing situations, which is understandable. There's not a running threat here, but there is, because Daniel Jones is a rusher that doesn't necessarily get the credit that he probably deserves with the dangerous nature of his legs, as long as he holds on to the damn football. And you can see, it's a quarterback draw. Wide open. Gets hit by Curl. It's a tough assignment for him because Curl is paying attention to Sterling Shepard's release here. And he realized he actually does a good job getting a beat on it. He just doesn't make the best tackle. And good job on Daniel Jones to kind of avoid him. It's a good play call at this point of the field. Nobody was really paying attention to Jones, and he made the Washington football team pay. And we can see it here. See, look at this box. Wide open. You have a 4-eye shade and a 4-eye shade. And you have a linebacker outside of the tackle and then a safety outside of the tackle. So as long as you sell it enough, you sold it, nothing but green, and then avoids the one defender who was dangerous. And that was the Giants' opening drive. I mean, there were a lot of different play calls, different types of plays that we haven't seen utilized, plays that Dan and myself on the Big Blue Banter podcast have asked to see. And Jason Garrett did a really good job in prime time devising a script that got the Giants into the end zone. Now, there were mistakes throughout the game, yes. Were the Giants conservative at certain parts of this game? Absolutely. Dan and I broke that down on the podcast. We're going to break it down even more on the All 22 podcast. But as for this opening script, short week, on the road, Jason Garrett did a good job putting the pieces into a position so the Giants could take an early lead against the Washington football team. It's just unfortunate that they weren't able to maintain that lead and extend that lead. Even though they had the opportunities to do so, the execution wasn't always there. That's something that young teams will do. Young teams will make mistakes, and those mistakes will end up losing you the football game. So hopefully that can be rectified. The season is still long, but as of right now, this was an incredibly disappointing loss. But there are positives to take away. Daniel Jones' play, some more creative play calling, etc. Alrighty, everybody. This is Nick Falato signing off of the Big Blue Banter podcast. I hope you all enjoyed this episode. Please rate, subscribe, review, do all that jazz, and also have a lovely one. Take care.